Welcome students, I'm Dr. Sonu Shiva, Associate Professor, Department of English, Government Dungar College, Bikaner. This session is for BA Second Year English Literature, Paper 2nd, that is Prose and Fiction. And in this paper you have many essays, out of which I have already talked about the introduction of E.V. Lucas and about this essay, Third Thoughts in a Nutshell. In this session, we'll be talking about this essay in detail and we'll be dealing with the text. In this essay, E.V. Lucas talks about the changing nature of human beings, and he says that greed is the basic instinct in human beings, and this instinct, this greed, dominates a person to such an extent that he is not able to do any good or any generous act for the other. Now, how does it happen? Let's have a look at the essay itself. The essay starts with the sentence, "This story was told to me by a friend." That means whatever the incident is, it is narrated to author by his friend. So he's writing from the experience of his friend. His friend says that it is my destiny, said he, to buy in the dearest markets, that is, he used to buy anything very costly and to sell, and he was such a businessman that he used to buy anything very costly, and whenever it came to selling, if I succeed in selling at all, basically he was not successful in selling anything that he purchased, but if he sold that thing in the cheapest, that means he was not able to get any profit out of anything that he purchased. Usually, indeed, having tired of a picture or a decorative article, I have positively to give it away. And sometimes it used to happen that he was not able to sell that particular decorative article or a picture, and he used to get tired of keeping it to himself, so he used to give that thing as a gift to anyone else, almost to make it acceptance by another as a personal favor to me. So even when he was giving a gift to his friend or anybody known to him, he used to give him a favor in accepting the present from his side. But the other day was marked by an exception to this rule. One day, something exceptional happened, so striking that I have been wondering if perhaps the luck has not changed. And that day turned out to be very lucky for the author's friend, and I am, after all, destined to be that most enviable thing, a successful dealer. So suddenly something happens, and we are going to look at that incident, that what happened with him. But he said that something changed in his routine, and he became one of that jealous thing in the market, and that is being a successful dealer. So the history has been that he used to buy costly and he used to sell that thing in a lesser price, or sometimes just give it to anyone else as a favor. That means the person who was taking the gift was doing a favor to him, and one day something changed and suddenly author's friend became a successful dealer. So how this deal happened, let's have a look at it. It happened thus, and from here he starts narrating what happened that day. In drifting about the old curiosity shops of a cathedral city, he was just roaming about in this cathedral city, he came upon a portfolio of a watercolor drawing, among which was one that to my eye could have been a possible Turner. So he was just roaming about and he saw a painting which he thought that possibly that this painting is made by Turner. And this Turner is that famous Joseph Mallord William Turner, and he was an English romanticist and a landscape painter who was famous for his watercolor techniques. So he saw this painting by Turner and he thought that perhaps this painting is made by Turner, even if an earlier owner had not shared that opinion. Maybe that dealer who was selling this painting, he did not have this opinion that maybe this painting is by Turner, or hope and set the magic name with all its initial so often placed in the wrong order beneath it. So this magical name of this Turner, which made this painting very costly, that was his name was written in a wrong order, maybe because the dealer that owned this painting did not have the same opinion that possibly it is made by Turner. He was not sure that this painting was made by Turner or not. How much is this? I asked scornfully. So he asked that the cost of this painting. Well, said the dealer, if it were genuine Turner, it would be worth anything. If it would be an original painting by Turner, it was anything like means it was very costly. But let's say 10 shillings. But for now, I would say that I'll give you this painting for 10 shillings. You can have it for that. But I don't mind if you don't, because I'm going to London next week and should take it with me to get an opinion. So that dealer, he said to this author's friend that if you don't purchase this in 10 shillings, it's okay, because next week I'm going to London. I'll take an opinion. If it's by original Turner, then the cost is not just 10 shillings. I pondered. Mind you, I don't guarantee it, he added. He said that it can be a possible Turner's painting, or it may be not painted by Turner. He said that I don't guarantee this. So that's why the cost is 10 shillings. I gave him the 10 shillings. By what incredible means I found a purchaser for the drawing at £50. And he says that I don't know what happened, but suddenly this person, that is author's friend, he also found a purchaser for this drawing that he purchased in 10 shillings, but he was able to sell that painting in £50. There is no need to tell, for the point of this narrative resides not in bargaining with collectors, but in bargaining with my own soul. So this is the basis of this whole essay, bargaining with his whole soul. He says, I'm not going to tell how I found the purchaser and how was I able to sell this 10 shilling paintings in £50. He says this is not important, because the main idea that is there in writing this essay is how he bargained with his own soul. The astonishing fact remains that I achieved a profit of £49.10 and was duly elated. He was very happy after getting a profit of £49.10, and I then began to think. And then this author's friend, he starts thinking that he has made such a huge profit out of that painting that he purchased for just 10 shillings. The dealer, so my thoughts ran, in that little street by the cathedral west door from the place that he purchased that painting, he ought to participate in this. And students, see how slowly the mindset of this author's friend changes from one level to another level. In the beginning, as all human beings, he is full of generosity. So he thinks that the first thought that he comes in his mind is that the dealer who has sold this painting in just 10 shillings to him, he ought to participate in this. He behaved very well to me, and I ought to behave well to him. It would only be fair to give him half. So this is the first thought that comes in his mind, such a generous thought, such a noble thought, that that person who has sold him this painting in just 10 shillings without knowing that it was an original Turner's painting. So he was such a nice person, and I should behave very nicely to him and should give him half of the profit. Thereupon I sat down and wrote a little note saying that the potential Turner drawing, which no doubt he recollected, has turned out to be authentic. So he thought that first he should, with this money that he's going to share with that dealer, he's going to accompany that money with a little note from his side telling him that the drawing, the Turner's drawing, that he thought that maybe it's Turner or not, it has turned out to be original. And I had great pleasure in enclosing him half of the proceeds, and he was very happy sharing half of the profit with the dealer, as I considered that only just and decent course. So human thoughts always start with a lot of generosity and noble ideas in mind, and slowly that selfishness, or you can say that greed, creeps in. So he says that this is the decent thing to share half of the profit with him. Having no stamps and the hour being late, I did not post this and went to bed. So that time he did not post this half of the money, because if he would have posted it, that would have been an impulsive action on his part. And that moment he was not able to post that letter sharing half of the money, and he went to bed. At about 3:30 a.m., I woke widely up and, according to custom, began to review my life errors, which are in no danger of suffering from loneliness. So there's a element of humor involved over here, that he has made so many mistakes in his life that there is no single mistake. They are not suffering from loneliness. There are so many mistakes that he has done in his life. From these, I reached, by way of mitigation, my recent successful piece of chaffering. And slowly, thinking about all this, by uh, mitigation, he reaches this piece of bargain that he has done, uh, that is purchasing a painting in 10 shillings and selling it in a huge amount, and put the letter to the dealer under both examination and cross examination. Now he's examining that letter he has written, and he's cross examining that. That means slowly his logic, he's starting examining it critically, looking at what he has written to that dealer. Why? So my thoughts ran, gave him half. Uh, with a second thought, he starts thinking that why should I give half of my profit to that dealer? Why be quixotic? He says that why should I be quixotic? So this quixotic has come from Don Quixote, who is the protagonist of the work Don Quixote, written by Cervantes, and his chief attribute of this character is the person who is unselfish, who is romantically unselfish. So he says, how can I be a quixote? And this is no world for quixotry. This is no world to be so much unselfish. So this is world of greed. It was my eye that detected the probability of the drawing, not his. He starts justifying himself. He says, it was I who saw that that painting was made by it was original Turner's, and was not his. He had indeed failed. He did not know his own business. In fact, the dealer has failed in his business. He was not able to recognize that painting by originally by Turner. Why put a premium on inaptitude? He says, why should I then give him so much of money when he was not the person who was good in his business? No, a present of say £10 at the most would be more than adequately meet the case. So at this juncture, he decides not to give half of the profit to that dealer, but he thinks that instead of half of the amount, he has sold that painting in £50, and instead of half of the amount, he thinks that £10 is sufficient, and this would be fine if I uh, send him by post. Still refusing to oblige me, I took a book of short stories and read one. But still he was not able to sleep, so he started reading one short story. Then I closed my eyes again and again began to think about the dealer. This author's friend, he again starts thinking about this whole dealing that has happened, that purchasing in just 10 shillings and selling it in £50. So he starts thinking about this whole deal again. Uh, Before moving further into this essay, uh, I'll stop here, and I want certain things for you students to brainstorm. Would there be a businessman buying things at the expensive price and selling at the cheapest price? Is it possible that any businessman can be like this, that who is buying things? Because in the beginning of the essay, you have seen that this is the destiny of author's friend, that he buys at expensive things and he sells at the cheapest price. So you need to think about it, brainstorm it, that is it possible? And then there's one more question for you to think. Did the dealer really sell the painting at so low price? So when you just try to justify, or when you just try to think about this story that Evie Lucas is telling you, you need to think that can there be a dealer who can sell this painting at so low a price, just with 10 shillings? Just for 10 shillings he is selling the painting. And one more thing is, Can't dealer recognize Turner's painting? The author's friend is able to recognize that it can be Turner's painting, but dealer is not able to recognize Turner's painting. So are these the three things possible? You need to think about it. That's a brainstorming for you before we move further. And there is one question for your assignment also. What was the destiny of narrator's friend? So that the answer is already there in the text. You need to think about it and then write an answer in about 50 words. What is the destiny of narrator's friend? So in my next session, we'll continue with the essay. Thank you.